The Mothman is a humanoid creature that reportedly appeared in the Point Pleasant area of West Virginia from November 15, 1966, to December 15, 1967. The first sightings were made by two young couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry, and Steve and Mary Millette. They described encountering a large black creature with glowing red eyes near an abandoned munitions plant. The creature was said to be around 7 feet tall with white wings and had a hypnotic effect on those who saw its eyes. Subsequent reports from other witnesses described similar encounters with a large bird-like creature with red eyes. Some attributed the sightings to misidentified sandhill cranes or herons that were not native to the region. The legend of the Mothman gained national attention through media coverage and was later popularized by authors like Gray Barker and John Keel. John Keel's book, The Mothman Prophecies, published in 1975, linked the sightings of the Mothman to paranormal events and even suggested a connection to the collapse of the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant on December 15, 1967, which resulted in the death of 46 people. This tragic event further fueled the legend of the Mothman. Various theories have been proposed to explain the sightings, ranging from hoaxes and misidentifications of known bird species to more supernatural explanations involving UFOs and prophecies. Despite skepticism from some researchers who attribute the sightings to natural phenomena or psychological factors, the Mothman legend continues to captivate enthusiasts and remains a prominent part of West Virginian folklore. The town of Point Pleasant now hosts an annual festival dedicated to celebrating the legend of the Mothman, attracting visitors interested in exploring this mysterious cryptid phenomenon. The Mothman legend transitioned from a local myth to an internationally recognized figure through a combination of factors that propelled its fame beyond the confines of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. The initial sightings by the two young couples in November 1966 sparked local interest, but it was the subsequent media coverage that catapulted the Mothman into the realm of popular culture. Media coverage and publications. The first newspaper report in the Point Pleasant Register in November 1966 titled, "Couples See Man-Sized Bird. Creature. Something," marked the beginning of widespread attention. National press coverage followed, spreading the story across the United States. Gray Barker's introduction of the creature to a wider audience in 1970 and John Keel's popularization through his book, The Mothman Prophecies, in 1975 played significant roles in solidifying the legend. The book's later adaptation into a major motion picture starring Richard Gere further cemented the Mothman's place in popular folklore. Cultural context and Cold War-era fascination. The Mothman myth also thrived within a specific cultural context. The fascination with aliens, UFOs, and paranormal phenomena during the Cold War era provided fertile ground for such stories to capture public imagination. The fear and intrigue surrounding these topics likely contributed to the allure of the Mothman legend, as it tapped into broader societal anxieties and interests prevalent during that time. Small-town Americana and environmental concerns. Moreover, the setting of Point Pleasant itself played a crucial role in shaping the narrative around the Mothman. The abandoned TNT area where the initial sightings occurred added an element of mystery and danger to the story. Speculations about environmental pollution and potential radiation exposure added layers to the myth, transforming it from a mere creature sighting into a cautionary tale about human impact on nature. In conclusion, a combination of media coverage, cultural context, and local environmental factors propelled the Mothman from a local curiosity to an enduring legend with international recognition. Encounters with the Mothman. The Mothman, a cryptid with glowing red eyes and massive wings, gained notoriety following the initial sightings by two young couples in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, in November 1966. The encounters with this mysterious creature sparked fear and fascination among the locals and eventually led to a series of strange events and sightings in the area. Here are some key encounters with the Mothman. Initial sighting by Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette. The first documented encounter with the Mothman occurred when these two couples were driving near an abandoned National Guard armory building and power plant. They described seeing a humanoid figure with glowing red eyes that chased their car at high speeds, displaying remarkable gliding abilities. Newell Partridge's account, another notable encounter involved Newell Partridge from Salem, West Virginia, whose German shepherd named Bandit disappeared after allegedly chasing after two glowing red circles in the woods. This incident, though not directly witnessed by Partridge, was linked to the emerging Mothman legend. Subsequent sightings in Point Pleasant. Following the initial report, there were numerous sightings of the Mothman in Point Pleasant and its surroundings. Reports included the creature lurking outside homes, chasing vehicles, and even being associated with the disappearance of pets like dogs. Media coverage by Mary Hyre and John Keel. Journalist Mary Hyre from the Athens, Ohio Messenger played a significant role in covering the strange occurrences related to the Mothman. Her collaboration with renowned paranormal investigator John Keel resulted in the publication of The Mothman Prophecies, which further popularized the cryptid story. Impact on Point Pleasant. The series of encounters with the Mothman not only instilled fear but also captivated the imagination of people far beyond Point Pleasant. The subsequent media coverage, including books and a movie adaptation, propelled the Mothman from a local myth to an internationally recognized figure akin to Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. Real or fake? The Mothman is considered to be a legend and folklore, with sightings reported in the Point Pleasant area of West Virginia from November 1966 to December 1967. The existence of the Mothman as a real creature is highly debated and remains unproven. While there have been numerous eyewitness accounts and reports of sightings, there is no concrete scientific evidence to confirm the existence of such a creature. Analysis of the Mothman sightings has led to various theories, including hoaxes, misidentifications of known animals like birds or owls, and psychological influences on perception. Some believe that the Mothman sightings were linked to paranormal events or served as omens of disasters, such as the collapse of the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant in 1967. However, these connections are largely speculative and not scientifically substantiated. In conclusion, whether the Mothman is real or fake remains uncertain and largely depends on individual beliefs and interpretations of the reported sightings. The legend of the Mothman continues to intrigue people and has become a significant part of local folklore in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. In mid-November 1966, in the small town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, two young couples reported seeing a terrifying creature. They described it as having a humanoid form but with 10-foot wings and glowing red eyes. This entity came to be known as the Mothman. The local paper ran the story, and soon enough, the entire town descended upon the location where the creature was sighted, armed and ready to hunt it down. They didn't find it, but they did spark a legend that would go on to gain international recognition. The Mothman myth began as a local legend but grew into something much larger. Jonathan Gitter, a recent history graduate from UWM, conducted extensive research on the topic for his capstone project. He found that unlike other cryptids, the Mothman myth had a definitive start date and location. After the initial report by the two young couples in West Virginia, newspapers in the area began to run with the story. Gitter's research uncovered far more than just the origins of the myth. He found a snapshot of small-town Americana built into its fabric. The area where the Mothman was first sighted was known as the TNT area, so named for the factories that used to produce explosives for use during World War II. After the war, these factories were abandoned, and TNT was reportedly still being stored on site and contaminating the local environment. The myth may have also benefited from Cold War-era fears of aliens and UFOs. There were reports of strange occurrences and sightings throughout Point Pleasant and beyond for over a year before sightings stopped after a tragedy, the collapse of Silver Bridge in 1967, which killed upwards of 40 people. Some believe that this disaster was an omen signaled by previous Mothman sightings at or near the bridge site. Despite its origins as a local legend, Point Pleasant has embraced its connection to Mothman rather than running from it. The annual Mothman Festival draws tourists from around the world, and there is even a museum dedicated to this enigmatic creature in downtown Point Pleasant. The history of this urban legend is fascinating not only for its origins but also for what it reveals about human nature, how we create myths and what purposes they serve. While many believe that Mothman is real, Others see it as an expression of fear or an economic draw for this small town struggling with unemployment and declining population numbers. Regardless of one's beliefs about its reality or significance, there is no denying that Mothman has become an integral part of American folklore, one that continues to captivate our imaginations today. The Mothman sightings in the area surrounding Point Pleasant, West Virginia, leading up to the collapse of the Silver Bridge in 1967 have become intertwined with local folklore and legend. The events surrounding the Silver Bridge collapse and the appearance of the Mothman have been subjects of fascination and speculation for decades, with some suggesting a connection between the cryptid sightings and the tragic disaster that claimed 46 lives. Following the collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15, 1967, which resulted in significant loss of life, including several individuals whose bodies were never recovered, the legend of the Mothman became further entrenched in local lore. The eerie coincidence of Mothman sightings preceding a major disaster added to the mystique surrounding this cryptid. The narrative surrounding the Mothman and its connection to the Silver Bridge collapse exemplifies how folklore can intersect with historical events, blurring lines between fact and fiction. The enduring fascination with this cryptid highlights humanity's enduring interest in mysteries and unexplained phenomena. Moreover, the Cold War era's fascination with aliens and UFOs likely contributed to the popularity of the Mothman myth. The context of heightened Cold War tensions and fears of the unknown may have made stories of mysterious creatures more appealing and believable. As sightings spread beyond Point Pleasant, including reports from other parts of the United States and even internationally, the legend of the Mothman continued to grow. Tragedy also played a role in solidifying the myth's place in popular culture. The collapse of the Silver Bridge in 1967, following alleged sightings of the Mothman on the bridge, added a layer of foreboding to the creature's lore. Despite this dark association, Point Pleasant embraced its connection to the Mothman legend, turning it into an economic draw through events like the annual Mothman Festival. Overall, a combination of historical context, environmental concerns, societal fascination with extraterrestrial phenomena, tragic events, and small-town dynamics contributed to elevating the Mothman from a local curiosity to a globally recognized urban legend.